Hey, what it do, guys? It's your boy, Patrick Ross, and we're back at it again with another book review. This time we're talking about DanMachi Volume 13. Pyong. So, I'm going to give you a little spoiler-free preview of the book. We're going to talk some pros, we're going to talk some cons, and maybe motivate why you should be excited about the next volume of DanMachi, the family myth. So, this book basically has two main plot points. The first is that there's a murder mystery, and we kind of got a preview of that at the end of the previous volume. And this one dives right on into it. It's a murder mystery. We don't know who did it, and there's a lot of suspicion about Liu, who, is a a fan favorite character. Like, we like her, we want to know more, and we're getting into her backstory for sure in this volume. I guess really in this arc, because I think it's going to continue more into the next one. So the first plot point is that, who did it in this murder mystery? What are Liu's intentions? Is she good? Is she evil? And Belle's trying to figure that out big time in this book. The second major plot point is there's a prophecy. And we all know Cassandra, Greek myth. We're smart people. We remember what we learned in school. And so she's giving everyone a prophecy in this book about what's going to happen in the future. And I really like this. Like in the Greek myths, no one believes her or no one listens to her. Really, she just can't articulate herself very well, kind of like me. So the other plot point is dealing with that prophecy, what's going to happen. And it does eventually become fulfilled in the book. And just that's like a major plot point. How can she prevent the prophecy from coming true? And then what actually happens when it does? The pros of this book, let's have like a pros of this book are... One, the moment that the prophecy is fulfilled is a great moment because it's been building throughout the book. When it does happen, the writing, I think, is really strong. The imagery is extremely good. A second pro, which is related, is that this book actually contains maybe some of the dark sides of the dungeon that have been washed over in the previous volumes. I feel like we kind of get like kiddied or babied through the dungeon where no one really dies. Everyone's just like hurt, knocked out. My leg hurts. And then they all come back in the next volume. Everyone's good. Like, yeah, it's all good, fam. In this volume, it doesn't quite go like that. People die. I like that. I like that it's, takes it a little bit more seriously in the dungeon this time. Whole parties are wiped out. I think it's a really good scene of actually seeing, how the dungeon can change, how the dungeon can evolve. The dungeon's a living being. And actually, it's an extremely dangerous setting. And I think the fact that we're actually seeing loss in a very prevalent, quick way, people die quickly, really conveys the dangers of the dungeons. And I was tired of kind of being babied through it. So I really appreciated that this volume actually talked about loss in the dungeon. Let's get into the cons. So, I'll be frank, I don't think this was by any means a good volume specifically within DanMachi. I love the series. There are some that are really good. This one, not so much. Here are the cons. First off, the villain that Belle was fighting against, he didn't really know it, but the villain that he was fighting against was extremely flat. We didn't know, we couldn't really understand what his motivation was. Was he insane? Was he just stupid? What did he actually think was going to happen? I don't know, man. He didn't make much sense as a character, and I don't know. He didn't seem like a good villain to me. Second off, I guess you could say that the dungeon is really the villain of this arc because the Belle and the gang are just doing their best. They're fighting against the dungeon, but we don't really get to see much development of the team within this book. It's entirely focused on this villain, the villain that they fight against, the person, the backstory for Liu, and there's not much development of the team. We don't get to see any new team dynamics. The team's basically doing the same thing, and they're off screen a lot of the time. So I don't really feel like I learned much more about the people that build Hestia Familia. And so that was kind of boring because, I like those people a lot. And then a bigger point is we never saw, the gods and goddesses weren't involved in this volume. We're in the dungeon the whole time. I think the gods and goddesses are maybe the strongest point of the series. So not including them was a big letdown. And you know, I hate to say it, but the fight, this is my final con, the fight was predictable. It was predictable, man. Like, we knew what was going to happen. It kind of follows every other fight that's in the show. And there can be great moments. Like in the previous arc, the final fight was extremely well done and exciting. And I was surprised by the ending. Great fight. This one, not so much. There was maybe a bigger swing in this fight from like I'm losing really hard to I'm winning really hard than in most. But the fight just serves as a way to show us that Bell is better than X. And in this volume, we got to see that Bell is better than Liu. So yeah, I kind of thought there wasn't really much bringing me back to this story besides the prophecy and the moment it was fulfilled. All right. That said, why are we excited about DanMachi Volume 14? So this volume ends on a cliffhanger. And so in the next volume, we're going to figure out really the resolution of this story. And we kind of know, just when you read through the book, you kind of know what's going to happen. There's an enemy that's still left alive that we know we're going to have to deal with. There's still some more backstory for Liu that we haven't seen, so we know that she's going to have a little more to tell us. And there's another opponent, let's say, who emerges that the team is going to have to fight. So we've got the fights kind of lined up for the next volume. Can't wait to see where they go. Small spoiler, small. I'm excited about the next volume because Bell ends up in I think they call them the deepest levels. He ends up very low down in the dungeon. High numbers, boys. He's down there. And I can't wait to see how he does when he's in the deep part of the dungeon. I feel like, you know, he's level 4 or whatever, and he's fighting on like a thing that could be covered by level 2s. He's kind of being a wuss. I'm glad he's going down to the deepest depths, and we'll see what really happens with Bell. The other thing I'm excited about for the next volume is that Bell is fundamentally much stronger than the rest of his familia just because of the way he's growing. The authors created Bell as a unique character because he grows extremely quickly, but the members of his familia grow at, they have to grow at a more normal rate or else it doesn't make Bell special. And so he's now level 4 and growing, and his family's like maybe level 1-ish, 2-ish, and not growing as quickly. And so like it doesn't make much sense for Bell to be fighting alongside them because Bell can kill whatever they can't kill. And then if they can kill it, then like Bell can easily kill. It's just like there's not much tension when they're side by side. I think the previous volume created a very artificial scenario where it worked. Now finally we're getting to see Bell separated from the family. He's working side by side with Liu, another level 4 adventurer. So they're gonna be strong. They're gonna be fighting lower levels. They won't have any sort of checks. And on the other hand, we've got the party by themselves now without Bell. They'll be fighting a strong monster for them. And so I think it's cool that now we actually won't have to deal with these handicaps between Bell's rampant growth and the party's more normal growth. You know, they're like me, they're normal people. So yeah, I think I am overall excited about the next volume. I think it will end this particular story arc. Volume 13 was not as good as Volume 12. I don't think you need to read Volume 13. I don't think it adds anything new to the story. Maybe you could wait until Volume 14 comes out. We'll see if it's good. If that one's good, then you might want to read the first half because Volume 13 is just all set up for Volume 14. All right, that's all I got, boys. Peace.